Hi everyone. As I'm taking off from client work this month, I've been really called to share like a cosmic diary as a channel, as a psychic, as a medium. I feel that so many of us are going through so many similar things, but you might not have words for it. And as if I can share my experience, my real life experience, it might also help you to understand your own, because we are all connected. So I'll call this series the channel and the human, right? So I'm a human having my own experience. And I think a lot of the time when people see psychics, mediums, and healers, they forget that we're just real people too, navigating this journey. I have 5 kids myself. My oldest is 9 and my youngest is 2. And my 2-year-old was recently diagnosed autistic. And I feel like we're all on the spectrum, to be honest, right? I know that I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and as I learn more about autism, I'm like, wow, I really do have a lot of these traits. So it's very interesting and very eye-opening. But, specifically with the month of June, it has been so deeply about slowing down and sacred rest for me. I know that I've been wanting to take a break from this client work, because for me in my own journey, I've been definitely going through transitions in my marriage. I've been going through transitions in my personal life and what I need, and learning more about what I need. And all the offerings that I have really do connect to what I'm moving through. So there's an offering that I share, and I'll be moving into a platform called The Inner Path, which I'll talk about more as I continue to develop it. But, this kind of feeling of we really need to learn how to energetically detox, release energy that isn't ours, and really truly learn how to love ourselves from the inside out, not just the superficial, oh, I'm getting my nails done or my hair is done or going to a spa day. Yes, that's beautiful, right? If you guys have that, opportunity to do those things, of course, right? Do those things, but are you learning how to take care of yourself from the inside? The most painful, darkest points of yourself, the pain that you might be repressing or have repressed for many years. And as for me, for those that don't know, I am a trauma survivor and healer, and conquering this journey of transformation. But the deeper I go, like many of you know on this path, there are more layers of the onion. There are, as you peel through one layer, there will be more things that come up. And I think a lot of people that, kind of deflect them from the healing journey is they don't want to feel that pain. But the only way over, right, is to go through it, and not the same way. You don't need to re-traumatize yourself. As a trauma-informed and trauma-conscious healer, I really try to show people that you're not in that timeline anymore. You are safe now. And what we really need to do is to bring more love and affection to the places in ourselves that were shamed, that were guilted, that were abused, that were neglected, that weren't seen or heard. And I think a lot of people don't realize that even if you didn't have a heavily trauma-filled inner child or younger experience, we all went through something that shut our voice down. We all went through something that made us doubt ourselves, our worth, our value in the world. We all went through something, whether it was a conversation or a commercial that you saw or a experience that you had. We all have been programmed through society as men and female, and whatever, obviously there's different titles now, non-binary and all those other things now. But whatever you were experiencing at the time, the society has told us that we've had to be a certain way, that we've had to fit in a certain box. And yes, that is changing and transforming, but that doesn't mean those parts inside of us understand that. A lot of the time when we do this work as adults, yes, the adult is really on this journey of, oh, I get it, I'm connected, I'm intellectual, I understand. But you have to also understand that those are younger parts of you that do not understand, that haven't quite acclimated to the level of intellectual and emotional maturity that the adult has. And until we learn how to create space for those parts of us, younger versions of us, to speak, to be seen, to be heard, to express what they always needed, they will always live in that loop of denial or pain or avoidance or dissociation or feeling alone or feeling unworthy or being hyper independent, right? Because they learned they had to do that. And that program doesn't change until we actually consciously reprogram it. Our brain, like a lot of you know, is wired to live in the past. It picks up information and it's constantly trying to protect us. Protection doesn't equal joy. And I think a lot of us are realizing that in order to create joy, we have to make some changes. And it's the hardest thing to do, to actually take action on those changes, and something that I really experienced and I'm experiencing myself. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this month of June, I'm taking off client work, but I was like, well, let me express myself of what I'm moving through. So I've taken off client work this month because I was so heavily and energetically just weighed down by people that I was working with because of my own lack of boundaries. So it really doesn't have, it's never the other people, right? It's the way that I may have put myself out there too much and didn't have stricter boundaries, or I was working as a teacher, as a healer, from a space of that wounded version of myself that had felt that they had to give every single thing to every single person that was in their life, right? And as a mama of 5, that's already exhausting, right? But then you have client work, and I have a energy school that I work with, and that include ongoing support. And I was putting all my heart and soul, which is very beautiful, in it. But then I realized that I wasn't getting that reciprocal exchange. So I had to make changes in that energy school as well, which will be moving to a platform that is more reciprocal in energy and what they're putting in and receiving for that exchange. But it was very hard for me to realize, because what was happening is I was getting sick. I was getting hives all over my body. It was just too much for me to handle. And again, it was because I was giving everything to everyone from a space of not feeling worthy enough. If I go down into the deeps of psyche, okay, into my subconscious, there was a part of me that wasn't feeling worthy enough to put a boundary, that was connecting their worth to their output, which again, we have all been programmed to externalize our worth through what we can do and achieve. And especially as people that have gone through trauma and have survived, right? We all tend to have that kind of conqueror mindset, but we lose the ability to receive and to surrender and to slow down. So I caught myself in that cycle, and I caught myself in that burnout where my body was keeping the score. My body was saying, Jolene, you're not listening. You're not listening to yourself. And I even had a session with one of the healers that I go to, and she was like, Jolene, I've never seen your energy so dense. I've never felt it that way. She's like, I actually saw bites, bites out of your energy field. I actually saw it. She's like, I've never experienced that. And it was actually through energetic activation that she was sharing with me online, because for those that don't know, energy healing transcends time and space. So you can receive energy healing online. We're all in the quantum field, simply with the intention of the provider and the intention of the person to receive. There is a connection there, and you don't even have to have that conscious intention. It just is. All right, it just is. So it was really, really kind of mind opening to me when I went to my healer friend. And I had this experience, and even during the transmission, because it was an inner dance. For those that don't know, inner dance was founded by Pai Villaraza. I teach this as well. I teach beginner level of inner dance, but it works with the music soundscape journey that mirror the REM sleep state that help to reprogram the subconscious. So you're healing from the inside out, just like you would in your sleep state, but you're conscious of it. You're in awake sleep. You're in awake trance-like state while you're awake, but you're laying down and there's music. And when this woman was sharing with me, I had the most anxiety that I've ever felt, because it can bring up things to the surface to be released and to be moved through. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable and just crying. And in that experience, I was like, I am so tired. I am just so exhausted from giving everything to everybody else. And I've been, slowly kind of pulling away in my work. And it was really just a sign like, nope, Jolene, you really have to take care of yourself this month. And that's what I've been doing, and it's still a process, because I'm so busy naturally through caring for my kids and everyone else around me, that it's uncomfortable. Okay. It's uncomfortable as shit to really sit with yourself and to really go into those parts. But I've made it an effort every single day to connect to my shadow parts, connect to that need to, do or help, and to really ask myself, like, what is going on with me? What is here with me today? And I realized that underneath it is sadness. It is a part of me that just wants to be heard, to be seen. So I'm sharing this today, right? To be seen and to be understood. I think a lot of us can relate to that in some way. I think a lot of us have these parts of us that we just don't feel safe in expressing because we think we're too much. We think we are going to be, trauma dumping or whatever it is. Maybe you just might have that kind of a tendency to keep it inside because maybe that's the way you've survived. You have to be hyper independent. I can really relate to that. Not having any emotional support growing up at all. And for me, moving through lots of trauma, abuse, suicide loss, all as a very young little girl, lots of sexual abuse, years of it, right? I had to keep all of these stories in as a child and not have that space to be like, someone help me, right? There was no one that was helping me that should have, right? So in that, if you can relate to that, I carry those burdens. And a lot of the work that I've been doing, especially recently, and I do have a inner child and parts work certification coming up in July. You can also message me here if you're interested in that. But, a lot of that was realizing, like, wow, these younger parts of us, this resonates to you, need to be told that they can put the burdens down. They can let this pain go. They are you as the parent, because a lot of this work, if you had trauma, like myself, we have to reparent those parts. And even if you didn't have a specific trauma, just maybe the way your parents might have been hard on you, or maybe didn't listen to you, or didn't see you for who you were, those parts still need to be heard. And you as the adult version have the opportunity now to reparent them. And when you reparent them, you can say, I'm so sorry, you don't have to carry this anymore. You can let it go. And maybe even visualizing them taking that pain out of their heart space and putting it into a river and letting it flow away, or letting it dissolve, and giving them a hug and saying, you are worthy, you are loved, and you're not alone. And it's this kind of conversation that you can have with that younger version of yourself that will really make a difference. It might sound out there. It might be uncomfortable. You might be like, this is weird. I honor that. But trust, the more that you practice this kind of conversations and connecting into the parts of you that are still there, you will transform your life. And I'm telling you, it's beyond, like, people are like, well, how do you know what part it is? How do you know the age of it? You have to understand that every coping mechanism that you have, maybe it's overeating, which I had eating disorders my whole life, really until like early 20s. Actually, it happened again. My second baby, I went through another kind of process of it. I was becoming bulimic again because I just did this fitness competition and like all this kind of insecurities, and it was just horrible. But I had to really work through that process again. Once you have those kind of disordered eating, it does tend to stay with you until you can really fill up that space with love and, letting them know that they're not alone. And, the more that you can connect into these parts and let them be seen and heard, and these coping mechanisms to be like, what are you actually afraid of? Why are you dissociating? Why are you distracting? Why are you, not in an accusatory way, but why are you feeling the need to run away or avoid this emotion, right? And it might just be like, I'm scared, right? This part might just be like, I'm scared. And I don't know what to do outside of doing, or outside of dissociating, or outside of distracting myself. And you can just allow that part to just be. You're not trying to fix the part. You're just hearing it. And as you do that, and as I'm saying that, I'm like, wow, okay, this conversation is what I needed today, right? It's like you can allow yourself to be like, oh, it's okay to have this really sad feeling, or this feeling of being of the unknown, which I think a lot of us can relate to. We don't like not knowing. And a lot of us have to learn. That's the whole process of the spiritual and healing journey, is learning how to surrender into trust, to surrender into allowing things to be really uncomfortable as fuck, for as long as they need to be without trying to force it to be something else. And that is the hardest thing, is like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen in my relationship, my family dynamics, my career, but I don't need to know today. And I can say this about myself, I'm realizing just how controlling I have been, if that makes sense, as a coping mechanism to survive. And now it's like, hey, you're safe. Like, I'm completely safe. I'm in a healthy, dynamic. I have a partner that's very healthy. I am safe now. And if you're not safe, then that's the first step, because you can't heal if you're not safe. But if you are safe, you're like, oh my gosh, all of this stuff is coming up for me. It's because you're safe now that your body's like, oh God, we can process this stuff now. We don't have to hold it in. So I hear that a lot. My clients are like, oh my gosh, well, why is this all coming up for me again? I don't understand. I've been doing the work. It's because you're doing the work. You're doing amazing. So those parts of you, those unresolved emotions, those unresolved traumas are coming up because they're like, we can do it now. We can let it out. And that in itself is progress, not regression. It's never regression. It just feels like, again, the way that we've been taught in this matrix system is this linear, like, you have a problem, it's solved and it's fixed. And that's the model that we have learned. It's like, oh, you're sad, take this pill, it's fixed. It's not. And we don't need fixed. What it needs to be is to understand that it is this kind of flow, this circadian rhythm of life. Everything in nature, we are nature. And this is the kind of the channel message here as we're, going through this video today. The channel message is, we are nature. We are everything that the earth is. So as the earth goes through these transformations and moving, this flowing up and down, that is what happens within our emotions. It happens within our energy system. It happens in our organs. Our organs actually move and flow. It's all within us. And the more that we can realize that these peaks and valleys and these dips and highs are just part of the process, and we can really allow ourselves to just feel into them and just hold ourselves through the uncomfortable parts, be gentle with ourselves, allow ourselves to cry. That is how we heal and transform. So I hope that resonates to you, because it's really actually moving me. As I'm saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear this today. So thank you for listening if this resonates. And thank you, you two, for giving me this space to kind of share what I'm moving through in this journey, because I think a lot of us are moving through it. And again, this kind of diary that I'm sharing in this channel message that I'm sharing is for everybody, but it is for myself, to have this kind of safe space while I'm not taking client work, to really integrate. And that's what this month of June for me is. And the month of June that I've seen for many of us is integration, to understand that we can take sacred rest, understand that we can put boundaries up, to understand that we can slow down and we don't need to prove our worth. We've never needed to prove our worth. What we need to do is allow ourselves to stop running away from what is here within ourselves, to see how we can balance the sadness with the joy, and to allow ourselves to just understand that there are no parts of us that are unworthy or unloved. Every part is a part of our system of healing. And the work that really helped me is IFS Parts Work through that was founded by Richard Schwartz. And the training that I do, I'm going to do a 21-day training live online, where we meet every Monday night. There's a check-in on Fridays, and it's going to start in July, maybe the 14th or the 28th. And you'll be certified in a rendition, okay, because it's not exactly parts work, but in my version of IFS, of parts work, in a way that I've kind of accumulated it through my own journey. And I'm telling you from my own experience of going through suicide loss and years of sexual abuse and years of neglect and all of this horrible things that happened to this poor, this poor little girl, right? It has helped me to just create this space of just loving that part. And it's not easy. It's not easy to go back into those memories, but you don't have to relive it. You can be the version that comes in and really just kind of just loves them and hugs them and gives them what they need. And you bridging that conversation allows those parts of that get stuck energetically. It's like a vortex. Think of it that way, or a black hole almost. Not even a black hole, but we can actually talk about that as being a black hole. It's like the depths of our darkness transform into the light, right? Everything came from something, right? And maybe it was all a black hole, and it shifted through. We have the possibility to shift everything through going through the darkest cave, the cave that we're the most fearful of, right? And the darkness is the light, and the light is the darkness. So when we allow ourselves to feel that pain, even if it's a little bit, as much as you can tolerate, and then imagine that you are reparenting, you're there now, maybe in that experience or in that emotion that they're feeling, and you're saying, hey, it's okay, right? A lot of us didn't hear, it's okay to feel this. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be uncertain, right? And you can just provide that space and say, I love you. I see you. You shouldn't have gone through that. I'm here for you now. You're protected, right? That's all those versions needed to hear. And even saying it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel alone. I'm here now. Build such a bond energetically that, again, will really, really shift and transform you. So thank you all for listening. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all soon.